Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to another episode. Thank you for joining me in this week's podcast. I am excited to move along. We're in episode 6 of this season, season 5, episode 6, and we have been talking about energy. Really, we have been talking about microcosmic healing, and I'm trying to explain it and break it down into these really deep layers. Because for us to fully comprehend what it means to heal, what it means to transcend, which a lot of what we're going to talk about today has to be about transcending. I can say my words today. Bear with me. We're going to get there. Just getting warmed up. But the whole point is that if we can start understanding what energy is, what our energy is, how we generate it, how the world affects us, how do we work with it? How do we adjust it? And what it means to do that. And when we can do that and learn how to interact with the energy around us, then we are learning how to heal and let go. And we are going to be going into evolving. And that's what we're talking about today. So last week I talked about vibrations and frequencies. That is a great place to start. If you're just joining us and maybe you have no idea what that is, please go back and listen to vibrations and frequencies. It will help give you that foundation moving into this next step here. So, I myself have been on a very long healing journey. It is something that I have taken as a full awareness of or accountability of my own trauma and my triggers. And I have been doing something with it, going deeper and deeper in my own energy levels and understanding and manipulating. And this has been a whole practice of trial and error in understanding this. And that is why I'm sharing this all with you now. It's it was such a long journey that if I could help others understand this faster and quicker, absolutely, this is what I'm doing because I want to help you understand so that you can take the reins and not have to weed through so much and get to your goals faster. Again, we have very different goals. I'm sure we all do, but this is the base information of just really about being a human being and how we can take this accountability, how we take our power back, and how do we change. We evolve when we maintain new frequency. So when we start to hit those higher vibrations, and sometimes we hit those higher vibrations here and there. And this is like those feelings when we're having a really good day all of a sudden, or we meet someone and we're feeling really good. Like they gave us some positivity and it's like, man, high five, right? And that's a higher vibration. So we're feeling good in the moment. So sometimes though, it doesn't last very long. So we leave a space and we leave that person, and all of a sudden kind of we feel that heaviness start coming back on. We're kind of drawing all of that old stuff back on, and so then we only hit that high vibration for a moment. The frequency of raising your frequency is maintaining that vibration for a period of time, for a longer period of time. So now we can start getting into the more positive feeling and maintaining that euphoria, that happiness, that joy, that positivity, the self confidence. We're feeling good about ourselves, having more positive self talk. Now we are adjusting our frequency. So it's one thing again to have moments of these positive vibrations, right? Of for ourselves, of having putting ourselves in a positive vibration. So again, there's moments and then we can come right back down. But we're adjusting that frequency when we're maintaining now. We can go here and yeah, it might go up and down a little bit, but it's not hitting as low. We're kind of maintaining at another level now, another level of heightened state. Okay. So to go into this a little bit further and to another level of understanding, I want to talk about dimensions. Ooh, this is exciting. So for me, it's exciting. I love understanding this. There's something that hits really true to this and understanding how some people are kind of in it and why so many other people are out of it and maybe don't understand what you're going through or why they can't see what you see and understanding or honestly just taking accountability on it. Ooh, that's really hard. That's for a lot of people don't do that. So let me keep going to have this make more sense. Okay, so dimensions. Let's talk about dimensions. Dimensions are realms or planes of existence that are beyond the physical world. There's so much more than this physical space. So because we live and have learned to function in the third dimension. This is where we are now. Our brains have been wired to perceive only what we physically see or sense, right? So this is what we see, hear, touch, smell, and taste. It's using the five senses. Now, physicists work under the assumption that there are at least 10, when I say 10 dimensions, referring to in the physical world. In spirituality, we refer to these dimensions as a state of consciousness, okay, or awareness. Those in the 3D, this is are limited to perceptions of what is happening within their lives and how it affects them. Okay, this is really the me. And this is the majority of the population. They're all in the third dimension. They're purely driven by ego, fear, and the survival of the fittest. There's a lot to say about these dimensions. I'm going in and just giving you a little pieces of these. I could probably do a whole episode of breaking all of this down, but it is not the purpose of this episode. So I'm just giving you little pieces. Yes, there's so much more here, but I'm not going that deep. I'm just giving you enough to understand it. So, and then we're going to go, the next one is the 4D, the fourth dimension. This 4D state are those that are awakening into the larger perspective. We're talking about the larger perspective of life and beginning to comprehend that our thoughts are powerful and recognize the importance of our own healing. So, again, you've just started the awakening process. You are now in the 4D. What is happening though is, I don't know if I want to go here, but I'm going to go here. But as a collective, so this is all of mankind on earth right now. It From the evolutionary standpoint of where we were and where we have been in the past, is that we were definitely all in the 3D, in the third dimension. But we have been evolving collectively. And now collectively, we have been in the kind of mostly in the four dimension, the 4D. But now the 5D is becoming more prominent. And a 5D is a level of consciousness you reach when one aligns in the wisdom that every experience in life is neither good or bad, that there is a purpose in all experiences, that life is happening for you. There we go. For you, not to you. I wanted to make sure I got that right. So again, experience are coming at you. So when we're experiencing hardships, when we're experiencing the things that we call bad or negative, in actuality, you were getting a lesson or the experience of knowing how to act or how to process certain things or having this new awareness of what to work on next. There's a purpose to it all. It's having the bigger perspective and pulling yourself out of victim mode, outside of the pain aspect of what's happening in the moment, to see the larger picture here. In the 5D as well, this is where love and compassion replace judgment. We are starting to do less and less judging of others and understanding that, again, they're going through experiences. How one person acts or how one person perceives or how they blow up and can have a bad day and they call people names or whatever it may be. You now have an understanding that they are going through something, that they're probably triggered. They have their own trauma they're working through, and that we all are going through things. We all are. Not one of us is going through something that is easier than another, because that's a perspective. Yes, there are some things that people are going through that are much more difficult to process than others. Absolutely. I am not diminishing that. However, we are all going through things. And what might seem small to somebody, to that person who's going through it, it's massive. Of course it is, because they're in it and they're bringing all of their past experiences and perspectives, and again, that trauma is a huge weight and they're carrying all that with them. And also here in the 5D, we are in a place where we understand that all people are equal, no matter their choices, no matter their choices. Because instead of seeing someone what they do, for the choices that they have made, Again, it's that higher perspective of understanding that we are all souls here having this beautiful experience, that we are trying to learn how to be human. We're trying to learn how to be compassionate, how to heal ourselves. Because a lot of the choices that can harm others and harm themselves come from a place where most people do not know how to process the hard stuff, the emotion, the trauma, the hardships, or even the positives. Some people have a really hard time accepting the positives because they're not used to getting that or having kindness or processing excitement, that it comes out awkwardly or sometimes harshly. But the 5D is a place where we understand and see it, and we're not casting those judgments anymore. We are all equal. And it doesn't matter whether you are make a lot of money or you're in a high office somewhere, or whether you live on the street and you've got a needle in your arm, or you have hurt someone before and you've been to jail, or you are Mother Teresa, because in it all, we are equal. We're all trying to live in this dense energy of this world and trying to be human. That's hard. It is hard being human. It is. I don't feel like I have to describe that too much because we're all doing it, and it's not something you have to go too far into to get to it, right? Right. But the point is, so when we are going through these dimensions, right, we have these different stages or different phases. I only listed for 3 to 5, but honestly, it goes up from there. It goes beyond that. There are other levels of this consciousness or awareness that I am talking about. But these right now are going to be your most common phases of most of you who are listening, or even for me, that we're going in and out of. So when we access these higher dimensions, we're always adjusting. Usually we're not just set at one level constantly. It's not like, again, you take one step up and then you're there permanently. No, again, life happens. It's a roller coaster. Life is a roller coaster. And so we have our ups and we have our downs, and we we come in and out of them, and that's okay. It's all part of that process. Sometimes we stay in one a lot longer than others. And but again, it's all part of our process. So I want to back up for a second and let's talk about, before I go further into understanding our evolution and how we are growing, it's understanding the purpose of why we're here. I'm going to give you my belief. And this is what I understand to be true, as someone who is a medium, I, as a healer, and someone who connects with a higher energy. I know this. We are first and foremost a soul here having a human experience and not the other way around. Our souls choose to come here to learn and to grow and evolve. When we are in outside of this experience, when we are in our light form, when we are in that place that we go to, that is light. I always say light. When I meant that, I meant more like it's not heavy, it's lighter, right? But we are made of light also, something bright, something beautiful. When we are there, we're without ego. We don't have the ego outside of this human experience. That is one of the whole reasons that we come here, is to have this ego and to try to live and make choices in a very dense and heavy energy, because it is hard for us because we are actually made of this really light energy. And so when we feel this heaviness, it's really hard to kind of see straight or understand things. But that's also the point, too. We're not supposed to remember. When we come here, we're not supposed to know what happens outside of this experience or remember who we truly are in its full capacity, because it's cheating. The way that I like to describe it, at least for our brains to comprehend it, is think of it like trying to learn chemistry. Like I said, outside of this experience, we don't have the ego. We have this beautiful understanding. There's no secrets. There's no hiding anything, because everything just is. We just know, and we're always uh, helping each other. And there's no shame, because that's an ego experience. Shame and guilt and all those heavy emotions, that is ego related. Okay. So On the other side, the one thing that we want to do as a soul is we want to evolve. We're always trying to learn, we're trying to grow, we're trying to understand. And Earth coming here in this human experience is one of those ways to, our classes essentially, that we can go to take. This experience is like an advanced course, right? We're going advanced course if you're coming here and you are choosing the human experience. Like I said, being human is hard. This is difficult. And that's the reason we come. So, to understand certain aspects and to grow as a soul, we can only learn so much out of a book, right? Because we are not accessing those heavier emotions. And the only way to truly learn is to do the work. It's like, this is it, chemistry. Okay. It's like trying to learn chemistry out of a book. All you're going to see is formulas and things that just don't make sense, right? You don't know until you do the experiment. You won't fully comprehend what any of that means until you're immersed in it and see what happens and how the reactions happen, especially if you put out too little of this, too much of that. Does it explode in your face? Or can you make it grow or do or whatever it is you're trying to create? Can you make it happen? That's why we come here. We come here to for that. And when we come and if we can survive, we say survive. Okay, let me be clear on this. Just because you made bad choices doesn't mean you failed at being human, because it is neither good nor bad. Every experience is exactly that, an experience. We are learning and we are growing from every single one of them. And it is part of how we evolve, is how we take what we've done in the past and we apply it to our present circumstances. And we also do that by watching other people. That's why we can get so inspired by watching others and listening to others. How are they being human? How did they survive this one situation? And we take all of these pieces and then we bring that into ours. And then we make our calculated choice of what we're doing. Some people don't calculate all the way and we just do it by impulse. Hey, with all fairness, some beautiful things have been created by impulse. Just be careful there too. Just know yourself and where you're going. Otherwise, things can get more difficult than it needs to be, right? Okay. So this evolution that I'm talking about, we all go through it. Okay. So we have more awareness. Now I'm talking about coming back down here, coming into being human, our human experience here. We have more awareness once we began awakening. We go through that process because we become more self-aware and sensitive to the changing of energies within us and around us. And that is the purpose of this. I'm trying to explain those energies for those of you in that process. So we go through phases of evolvement once we begin, right? So this awakening process is really long. This is not a moment where you're going to go through it like, "Ooh, the switch is on. That's it. I'm awakened. Everything's fantastic and wonderful." For those of you going through it, come on, can I get a guess that was my my sound effect for the process. It is overwhelming. It is hard. It sounds beautiful, like you should find bliss right away and everything makes sense, your purpose, everything's aligned, but it's not, because now we have to look through and weed through all of our life's experiences. We are looking at it and we're trying to decide what makes sense anymore, what where our beliefs really are, what was just taught, what we've been collecting and what was taught to us since birth that absolutely doesn't make sense. So we're releasing these false beliefs, we're finding our own truths, and then we're dealing with our own trauma starts boiling up on top of our heightened sensitivities now are, we can feel things left and right. We can see things. We might hear voices, all the things. It's because it's everything just lifted. Your vibration is now arising, right? Now we can hear and we're seeing a bigger perspective, but it's coming at you all at once. Yes. It's a lot. So we have to weed through this piece by piece. And I'm letting you know you're not crazy. I actually do a workshop on this in the awakening process. It's not happening right now. I'm actually doing an empath workshop. So in case anybody is wondering about that, head over to my website, shereebuckman.com. There's more information on that. So getting back to the phases of this evolvement, going through this awakening, right? Let me give you a small example. Of course, I have been going through a lot since mine. I began mine, I like to say around 2017, at least that's where I started getting that awareness of what was happening, that things were shifting. And then I was starting to rewrite my whole life story of who I was, what I'm doing, and the purpose and everything all around. So that's about mine. But it's also around the time that I started developing and understanding my voice and what I had to share, and that I was creating a purpose of taking my process of healing and wanted to speak about it for everybody else, right? I wanted to inspire others. I wanted people to know that they aren't alone and that you're not crazy and like there's a community of us out there that get it. We're all going through it too. So when I began this, let's talk about my business itself. It's always a good example, right? For me, it is anyway. For my there it has gone through its own evolution from back when I started it into its beginning uh, website and the way I saw clients out of my house. And it had this first level phase of how I was figuring things out. And I was just going and doing. There was no big plan. And then it went to, and I created About Healing Medium. And that was another big phase of part of my business. And that is where I needed to go in that moment. It was part of my evolution. And then it's bringing me to where I am now into this new rebrand of what I am now becoming, which is a little bit different than it was before. But each phase is a representation of my own growth and personal transformation. I couldn't get to the next level without the pieces before it. And I couldn't be here right now speaking to you about these topics if I hadn't had those previous phases and those different aspects of myself. Even sometimes I look back and maybe they're not so pretty and it's embarrassing. It is what it is. I embrace it because I take that and it's forming to who I am today and how I'm speaking to you now. And in the future, it's going to be even more different. I may look at the future and looking back into this moment saying, oh, that was embarrassing. I'm embracing it. I don't care. It is what it is. But each phase taught me new skills. It has changed my thought patterns. I have brought a new level of acceptance because trust me, if you listen back to my to season 1 of this podcast to now, it is very different. Of course, I have more confidence. I am learning and finding my worthiness in my voice and my thoughts and how I speak and who I am as a person. And it all comes through differently. You're hearing that energy because my energy shifted. That is my vibration, my frequency. It's all shifting. This is my evolvement. And this, like I said, this phase will not be my last. And I will keep going and keep sharing this growth about myself as long as I have the desire to. And I definitely do. We're going to keep going, and I will. So stay tuned. Okay. But as I am growing and I'm evolving, it is another point here to say that my future self is not predetermined or destined by the stars. It is about the choices I am making now in the present. It's about what I am choosing to take responsibility for and learning the lessons from my choices and taking that and molding it into something new and shifting it there into the future. That's where I'm evolving to. But evolving forward to falling backwards, that's a choice. And I wanted to say that too, because those of you who are finding this extremely difficult, and it sometimes you feel like you just want to give up. Like, I can't keep going in this. I'm just going to go back to that neutral mode, which is a really hard switch to go back to when you have such an awareness and a higher perspective to go back to that mode of I just want to go back into that safety of the box and be normal or right so that you are accepted by society because you feel safer there. You know what to expect. But remember that's falling back and that is a choice that you are making. Again, like I said, it's not good or bad, but you may find things more difficult by trying that aspect. And sometimes you need to try that to know which way to go forward again. but the choices are not always easy. Absolutely not. But nonetheless, you will always have a choice. I choose to evolve. And honestly, if you're here listening to this, you must be on that same path too in choosing to evolve, especially if you've made it this far into the episode. So now I want to talk to you about what happens again as we are choosing to evolve and as this evolution is happening on a personal level. Because now we're talking about raising consciousness. That's a big thing, right? So the healing we do on this plane of existence in this dense energy, right? Because our light self is trying to do beautiful work in in the dark. It creates massive positive waves that go beyond this dimension. Now we are talking about space and time all the way out in the universe to as far reach that you can even wrap your head. It goes further than what your head can wrap around because this is a wave of energy. And when we can start transcending in this dense energy, in this plane, it is like an explosion of light that goes out where it is energy beyond this plane. They can feel it. And it's this big ripple effect, this domino effect that's happening. No matter how small your healing feels, like, you could be working on just to learn how to speak your truth, whether it is just with one person in your life because you've never spoke up for yourself or you've never been the one to say what you want. You just kind of let things go or, hey, whatever you want. We'll just do what you want. We'll eat what you want. I don't care. Everybody cares. And if you were just learning how to speak that truth, and the moment you start doing it, no matter how awkward it is, that is huge for your soul evolution. It feels very small here, but like I said, it feels small because we are weighed down by this heavy energy, this heavy weight. And so every piece and every part of confidence that you are reaching and any changing the thoughts in your head and the self-talk, you're getting more positive. That's huge. It is huge outside of this experience. Your healing is incredibly powerful. Because by itself, especially when you're in the thick of it, you're probably wondering what the purpose is of the pain that you feel and why you're even trying to keep going. But every moment that you are aware and making new decisions for yourself, these conscious choices for your own self care, for your own well being, you are actually changing the world. Because as you are doing that, your frequency is raising. And when that happens, again, you have those around you that you'll create this beautiful you're like like moths to a flame, right? So you're the flame, moths are coming at you, but again, they're all the same frequency. And the more that you are doing that and that you are inspiring others around you to start making these beautiful positive changes too, because they see it. Remember, we learn how to be human by watching other humans. We are watching and we're seeing positive results from somebody else. We're wanting to know how to do it. How do we do that? And now they're starting to do it. And when we're doing that, we are number one, you are now doing that microcosmic healing. You are doing that beautiful change and inspiring it. But you are raising the collective consciousness. You become a piece in that and part of our human environment, of mankind right now. And the higher you go, other people are going, and you are adding to this beautiful mix of this wonderful energy, and it's just strengthening it. You're just, again, another ingredient that's just boosting it, right? You're that booster that comes in, and then somebody else, and then you've inspired someone else and they join in, and now we are raising it together. And as we are raising it, the higher that we are getting, even though it feels, you hear social media, you hear politics, we hear the news, turn it off because you're hearing a lot of really loud people talking at once too. Feel it. Focus on yourself, focus on that hard work, and you are going to start feeling the rise of the beauty that's out there, the amazing people, the beautiful circumstances. It is all out there. But we also don't speak as loud as those who have, usually the ego base speaks louder. And we need to find that voice and start speaking louder so that we can start helping people get into that positive, that we can support each other and not tear each other down, that we can hold each other and say that it's okay that you made a mistake. You are human today, and that's okay. You need to take a deep breath and know that tomorrow you get to make a new choice. Let's make a new choice. You are doing great, and together we're going to get through this. Let's start by changing our thoughts, our words, our actions, and how we surround ourselves in the outside world. Meaning the type of food that you eat, does it sustain and support your well-being? By the places you go to, does it make you feel good? Does it support your highest and best self? By the situations you put yourself in, the activities you do, the music you listen to, does it lift your soul or does it push it down and make you angry? It's all of these, and the people you surround yourself with. Do the people that you interact with, do they make you feel good about yourself? When you leave, do you feel happier and better, or do you feel drained and heavier? And these are all questions you can ask yourself and make those small changes to lift yourself up. Like I said, you're doing a great job. We've survived being human today and every day before this, and we will survive tomorrow. Just turn around today at some point and encourage another human. You can tell they're having a bad day. Let them know that it's okay. We all have those bad days, that it's going to get better, that we see them, and we can acknowledge that we are just as human as them. None of us are alone in this experience. We are all in it. And you're doing amazing. So until next time, you beautiful souls, be kind to yourself.